Allow me to show you the power of Super Saiyan 4!
Yo, what's up guys, Dragonball here for another Dragon Ball Legends video. And as already said in the last tier list, we're gonna do an update with the new Yellow Rose Goku Black. Not really new, but with his new equipment, which definitely had more than enough impact to change this list a bit. Yeah, as always, don't own necessarily every single character here, and not necessarily, like, for example, 10, 14 stars, so maybe you have a different experience because you have them higher stars, or you own the unit, and I don't. Yeah, let me know in the comments, as always, what you guys think about my list, and also considering liking and subscribing if you enjoy my videos. So let's just start right here with the top 10. What you guys see here is my old tier list, which I've made before Yellow Goku Black. I removed most of the units that were here before because they don't matter. And what we're gonna do here is shift around the units to adjust the list. So the first thing is, obviously, I'm gonna remove one unit because Yellow Goku Black is gonna be here, and we don't need to have 11 units on here. So Kid Buu used to be here because I said, okay, Vegito is running around everywhere to protect Broly and have a bit of snipe ability against Vegito. He made the list, but you know, of Yellow Rose, he's unnecessary, so he's dropping off the list. I will put Android 13 down for now because he's gonna be in another spot. And then for number 10 and number 9, it is actually quite difficult to tell which I would put here. But I think I'm gonna put Buhan at 10 and Bardock at 9 here. Buhan, still no real usage in the PvP meta. In fact, I would say the top 4 are really what matters the most. You occasionally see number 5 and number 6, and everything else is basically irrelevant. So Buhan, while you could make the argument for him being red against Goku Black, it really doesn't matter. He has 10 time accounts of typing to defense. He's not really a tanky character. He's still a victim to status 4, just like this guy is, which they make the bottom of the list. But I think I see more Bardocks than Buhan, so I'm gonna keep Bardock here, but you could easily change this around. I think you could even make the argument to put Janemba on the list and drop one of the other two down, but I don't see any of these guys enough, and I don't have Bardock on my own, so I can't really tell. But I think it's easier to get rid of Buhan because he has no second life mechanic in comparison to Bardock, which is why I'm keeping Bardock over him. But it really doesn't matter. You can change this around if you want to. Then at number 8, I actually will put Vegeta and Nappa here. It's just the fact that, yeah, Yellow Goku Black exists. He's really tanky, which means the Nappa version can do anything against this unit. You're not running this guy. He's not core and powerful opponent anymore. And why he can be type neutral offensively against this guy with a green card plus revival, I don't think it's enough to really give him a reason to be here, like a higher spot. Yeah, and with no use, and I think just it's better to have Vegito as a purple in comparison to Vegeta Nappa. And also defensively, he's also going to be a liability against Yellow Rose. So I can't see this guy really high right now at all. Oh yeah, he's gonna be number 8 here. Yeah, moving down a lot. Then I'm gonna keep Sword of Hope Trunks. He is the number 7 unit. I think this guy is very unfortunate, I would say, because you would think with Yellow Rose coming here and having this future team, which is also the reason why he's even considered over these guys, because he's at least core on future. If you want to run a future setup, you can do that, but I think the problem is at this point Trunks is starting to feel the difference between, like, you can tell he's a pre-anniversary unit in his defenses, a bit in his offenses as well. The Sword of Hope if you ever get the situation where you just simply can kill anyone because you have a lot of units that can heal off or tank his hits, so it's not as easy, and he's still very squishy, which is not really good right now. Like, we're in a really, I would say, timer count meta where it goes to timer. You really have to consider having multiple rushes and stuff like that. So having a unit on the team that's not really tanky, on top of that, for example, this Gogeta can fully negate, ignores his disrupt entirely. You have Vegito can ignore his disrupt. Very squishy, so even this guy with his blue cards type neutral, or this guy can just mess him up. Stardust Fall still exists against this guy. So I don't really see a high position for Trunks either. And this is why I, for example, said I think the future campaign back then was a terrible execution, and they should have given this guy an equipment sooner, because you can't just release this guy and then wait for anniversary to get a proper team for him. After so many months, so many other releases, so much power creep throughout the months. It's just really unfortunate for the Trunks. Because color-wise this would be perfect, but it's just the other units are so much better now than him that he can't be higher. And he never really got into this high positioning, really. Maybe last time he was more in the top 4, top 5, but that's the highest he would probably ever be, which is kind of sad. So yeah, Trunks at number 7 here. Now 5 and 6 are, I would say, interchangeable for me. I'm putting Vegito at 6 and Android 13 at 5, but you can swap this around if you want to. And the main reason why I'm putting Android 15 over Vegito here is because I think the thing is with Vegito, he can help you against Broly, obviously, but for one, this guy is just a brick wall towards this guy. Like, bro, even the Type Neutral Ultimate, like, here's the thing. If you run in a routine, you're using your Type Neutral Ultimate, this guy will just eat it. Like, you're not one-shotting Yellow Rosé. He will heal off the damage, by the way, and then he's not Type Neutral unless you're losing a dead ally. Until you have a dead ally, use a dead ally. No, but then for the whole match, he's type disadvantage. He is not good defensively. Never has been this very good disruptive unit. On top of not having good defense, Yellow Rosé is crushing this guy. So there's not really much reasons to run him besides the potential help against Broly, which I even think you don't need to. I don't think the payoff is high enough for running Vegito against Broly to run him, because then you have to deal with harder with Goku Black, who will do insane amounts of damage against this guy. So I don't think the trade-off versus payoff is, like, the payoff is far lower than the trade-off here, so I don't see why you would run Vegito. And Android 13, I also think he's still sometimes very squishy. Has sometimes bad situation against Broly, for example. Like, if you combo with Android 13 and then Broly with full unique gauge, pre-trans full power version comes in a cover change, you are locked in, and there are only 2 options you have. Technically 3. Either you drop a green or a blue card, or you're rushing, or you don't do anything. And it's just, if you're rushing with Android 13, you're not going to do that, because this will not kill Broly whatsoever. You're wasting your Rising Rush, so that's not happening. A blue card is like, well, you can use a blue card and save yourself in terms of stalling, but it's not going to do any damage against Broly. Green card will delay the situation, but then you still have to deal with using a Strike or a Blast to stop your combo. So that's still a thing. But I think the fact that he can contribute to the healing of the team and the extra damage on the team gives him a higher value than Vegito right now. Because again, Vegito doesn't really... It's not that he does bad damage against other units, it's just against Yellow Goku Black, who you face every single match. He's more of a liability sometimes. So, and even against other units like Rosé and Gogeta, that will do also really good damage against him. So he doesn't really contribute in terms of the surviving capabilities of the team. A bit more better offense, I guess, but I would rather run Android 13 as my contribution to healing off, for example, Yellow Goku Black and Broly, or Yellow Goku Black or Gogeta. It's just far better. Android 13 provides a bit more value, I think, but he's also sometimes in this position where he can be squishy and die very quickly if you're not careful, which Vegito doesn't necessarily do. So this is why I say you can swap these two. We can even make this a shared row on that one, because I really don't see a big difference. Obviously they have different roles, but I don't see a big gap between these two. If you don't want to have them shared, you can obviously say, okay, Vegito is better, or Android 14 is better. It doesn't really matter too much, because again, they are not that relevant in comparison. Like, the top 4 is all you see. Like, it's the best teams in the game right now are either these 3 together or these 3 together, and you don't see anything else. Any other version, I mean, probably maybe if you want to run this trio, maybe that's still a thing, but you're not really running Vegito. And if you're running Android 13, either you're absolutely winning or you get crushed, because Android 13 dies first. Also will take a lot of damage, which is also bad if you're going to timer and then have to win out of damage. Having Android 13 as your squishy partner isn't the greatest either. So yeah, we are moving now to the top 4 in the game. I think I will have at number 4 Blue Rose, who right now is, I would say, obviously still very good. I think one thing he gained from Yellow Goku Black, besides the insane duo ship, I mean, this is the best, I would say the best duo ship in the game right now, is because there's one weak point he had. Not necessarily weak point, but it's one thing if you, for example, at level 1 gauge and want to get to your level 3 gauge. You will never have normally enough cover null with Blue Rose to combo from level 1 to level 3 without having the trouble of potentially getting cover change. Because you have 5 timer cards of cover null, you're not getting, like, what? How many cards would I have to use? Like 6 cards in with this guy in 5 timer cards. That's not happening. To get your full unique gauge, to get your ultimate. But with Yellow Rose, especially at the start of the match, giving you cover null for 15 timer counts that can't be cancelled because it's a debuff against the enemy team, you can just combo with this guy and then get your guaranteed ultimate most of the time, unless you're fighting Broly. So he gained that from him. The buff cancellation from Yellow Goku Black against blue cards helps him against endurance no blue cards to survive longer. You have obviously now Yellow Goku Black as your Vegito deterrent. Great synergy, providing blue cards for the team. Dragonball destruction. I think he's very good right now. I think he's more so, I would say, the glue of the team most of the time, because here's what I think. I think the primary role is most of the time between Yellow Goku Black or either Broly or Gogeta. I think he has more of a secondary or third role on the team. He's not necessarily your primary damage dealer. I think most of the time he isn't your primary damage dealer, but he's providing the blue cards. He's has the Legends action to help against other Rosés, for example, because one thing this guy can't really do is manipulate sub-counts against blue cards. So if you're using your Legends action against Yellow Goku Black or against another Legend Rosé, and then use a blue card, there's not really much your enemy can do. Here's another story because he has sub-count manipulation against blue cards. Broly only on standby. So, but I think the other two units are more your priority than Rosé is. He's also most of the time the squishiest unit out of your team, which is a good thing. Otherwise, it would be even harder to get any kills. I think the highest possibility against the best teams in the game is that you're killing this guy first. I think, because again, he's the squishiest out of the top 4 units in the game, I would say. Which isn't a bad thing. I think he's solid. I wouldn't put him higher though. I think the other 3 are just a bit better than him in terms of colors or the priority on the team. But the synergy with this guy against for every other unit in the game is really good. So yeah, he's number 4 for me. I'm gonna talk about now the number 2 and number 3 together, which therefore makes it pretty obvious who the best unit in the game is, which I think everybody knows from the very beginning. Because I think you can change this, but I personally have a favorite order how I would put this. I am keeping Broly as the number 2 and Gogeta as the number 3. And obviously, therefore, Shocker's Rose is number 1, which I don't think anyone surprises right now, considering the meta, but I will talk about these 2 first. Broly and Gogeta. You can definitely make the argument that Gogeta is the 2nd best character in the game and Broly is the 3rd. And I think many people think about, okay, Yellow Goku Black can easily eat the full unique gauge counter blue cards from Broly. And that he has an endurance blue card which hurts Broly, so people would probably think, okay, this hurts Broly, Gogeta's red, so obviously he's better against Rose. Well, I think people sometimes forget that Broly isn't just his counter gauges. Like, his full unique gauge counter blue card thing is not the main thing he does. Like, he does a lot of other things which are, I would say, kinda necessary for the teams, and I have this guy at this point now finally at 8 stars, and I've been running this trio, and I just have a far easier time dealing with the God Key variant, which is of the best teams in the game, than the powerful opponent variant. Like, I can far easier deal with this trio than I could deal with this trio. With this trio, getting a kill off is sometimes extremely hard. And I think some points that I think Broly just has that provide a lot of value is, again, sub-count manipulation against blue cards. When he's on standby, your enemy uses a blue card, he's lowering his sub-counts by 5. Which is one of the things that is very helpful against when you're running this trio, because if, for example, your Goku Black or any of your Goku Blacks get blue carded, you can potentially switch Broly in. That's something this trio can do. If you would Legends action with Blue Rose, one of these 2 your enemy Roses, you can't do anything against that. And why this guy would with his endurance survive, or this guy sometimes, that still sometimes brings you to positions where it's like, okay, you would prefer to switch out and let somebody else take the blue card, but you can't. And Broly makes this possible for you to switch in. Now, granted that it's still sometimes stripe neutral regardless, at least you can choose sometimes to pick Broly, who's gonna eat it over somebody else. On full unique gauge, he's sealing rushes and mains, which is a big factor, because if you think about this, if you are sealing their rushes when they have their Dragon Balls up, they can't rush you. And in this timer count meta, it's better for you to get your rush as soon as possible and delaying the other person's rush as long as possible. You have this guy's 2 times mains, which in a Fury form and the Super Saiyan form, which destroy Dragon Balls. You have this guy's full unique gauges, which destroy Dragon Balls, and you have this guy's main ability, who also destroys true Dragon Balls. If you combine this with 2 times that you're sealing the main of the enemy, you can delay their rushes quite a bit. And if you then get your rush up very soon, you have a bigger chance of having a second rush while your enemy doesn't, which is a big factor that Gogeta, for example, can't do. Now, obviously, he has as well Dragon Ball destruction with his blue card, I think, but I think it's better to have this guy's sealing of the Rising Rush, and also sealing mains, which also prevents this guy from maining to destroy Dragon Balls, as well as Yellow Goku Black for even transforming. Which doesn't mean that Yellow Goku Black, you can kill Yellow Goku Black's first life before he transforms. That's not gonna happen. But you can delay it sometimes long enough. And keep in mind, pre-transformed he doesn't have a blast armor. His green card is a lot worse. So he doesn't get vanish back on his blue card the first time pre-transformed. So there's a lot of value you gain from having preventing a transformation and sealing the rushes with Broly. Then you also have to consider that one thing that I think people also forget, if you're running this trio, this guy is so free when it comes to comboing you to get more blue cards, to use more for which helps this guy and also himself. If you, for example, have level 1 Gauge and this guy comes into cover change against you, you're locked in. You can't combo anymore. So sometimes he is deterring Blue Rose for just farming blue cards for the whole game, which is something I think you don't want to. Like, every time I'm facing the Gogeta setup, I use this guy way more often because I can get far more blue cards, which means I can waste a lot more of his buff removals. I can also waste this guy's buff removal if I use my blue card against him. I don't care who's tanking it at the end of the day. I can get my ultimates far more easier than against with Broly. If I'm facing another Broly, I will have less opportunities to just farm myself to level 3 and get my ultimates. Because this guy will come with a full unique gauge and it's like, okay, I either have to pop my blue card, which is type neutral, which sets me back to level 1, or I have to pop the gauge. So, I think that's also a very strong thing, and the fact that he also has an Endurance Nil blue card is better against Goku Black, I think, than having the ultimate. Because when it comes to the ultimate from Gogeta Blue, first off you have to deal with this guy's buff removals on standby, and then even then, after you depleted all of these, he has his own buff removal if you use an ultimate or a rush against him, by the way. So there's almost no shot you will ever use this guy's ultimate to get a kill on him. Unless he gets thrown into and you depleted all his buff cancellations. With Blue Rose, which is also important, because the only way you get the buff removals gone is using multiple ultimates or rushes. And if your enemy prevents you from rushing, and at the same time prevents this guy to build up his ultimates, you will have harder time to get rid of his buff removals. And on top of that, if you ever gonna go for an ultimate against Rose, you can probably switch this other guy in, thanks to the sub manipulation, remove his type neutrality if he ever has it, and eat it with Rose. So I see a lot of points that I feel like Broly does more for the team, and he still has individually really good offense. Keep in mind that if you're running only these two versions, that you never really see a purple, so Broly is always free, color-wise. And I have faced enough Brolys and used some of my Broly, where sometimes he just popping off and destroying me single-handedly, or I single-handedly destroy my enemy with Broly. Having enough opportunities with his blue card to sometimes probably kill one of these two, and Gogeta is not like the super tanky unit, so you have two units that you can combo considerably easier or dealing easier damage to in comparison with Broly on the team. And the one things I would give to Gogeta over Broly is the color being red, which means he can tank a bit better against Yellow Rose, and the Stardust Fall. I would say these are the two main things that I think Gogeta does better than Broly, but I think Broly overall does way more. And keep in mind that you also have to consider that Gogeta is primarily a blast-based unit on a strike-based team. Which, I don't know why they did that. I would have preferred he was a strike character. So he's not necessarily at his peak damage, while everybody else is. So this was a lot of Broly grace right there, but I want to make my point very clear why I think he is the number 2 unit and not the like number 3 unit or number 4 unit. I see some people considering this guy lower. Again, I think you can swap him with Gogeta, but I personally definitely wouldn't. I've seen so much things Broly can do, like, and this is also the thing with Stardust Fall. Either I let Broly eat it, or I let this guy eat it, and it's just like whatever. Which is also a strong thing sometimes, I think, against Gogeta, that if 2 of your 3 units can just eat the Stardust Fall more or less fine, then that's not the best thing ever. And now to number 1, Yellow Goku Black. Do I really need to go over this, bro? Insane tanking, even against the red character. Insane tanking, better than the defense unit here for Anniversary. Like, he does both of their roles, just better. He has a very good way to deplete this gauge, so constantly drawing the blue cards, which will help at some point killing a unit, because you will get rid of all their buff removals against blue cards at some point. Destroying Dragon Balls, debuffing blues and ultimates when he enters the battlefield, having time temper counts of type neutral defense, so Gogeta can't really just come in and destroy this guy. The minus card draw speed every time your enemy switches, which sometimes is very good against this guy, because let's just say you're switching from Broly to Rosé, and you give him minus card draw speed, he will have a tougher time to get to level 3 gauge, which is exactly what you want. Giving cover null for 15 timer counts to the whole enemy team or your team is just nuts, considering that we actually wanted to get away from having long combos. This guy helps you to get long combos, especially this guy, because he has access to level 2 card draw speed sometimes. So the synergy with the best units in the game is insane. He has the best tanking, very good sustain, you can't really kill him. The best options you've got is just to rush this guy and deal as much damage as possible. He's replacing, for example, Bardock completely, and it's just like, again, the meta is either you're running these 3 together or these 3 together. These are the 2 best teams in the game, in my opinion. I don't think there's a third best team. I think these 2 are the best. And he's on top of that. He has the potentially protection against reds with this guy. Insane partners again with either Broly or Gogeta. And giving more blue cards by for having the full unique gauge and getting a blue card on entry. You can also give this to your allies, so that's also a strong thing. So he has a supportive role in a sense. He has a defense role and an offensive role, so he does almost every job that exists in the game. So yeah, he's a clear number 1 unit for me. I don't think the other 2 are gonna make it over him, and especially since I've seen how much damage he can sometimes even do against Gogeta, which is kinda nuts because he's a yellow character. So yeah, and then we have Janemba here, in case you wanna swap in. He has a potential number 10 unit, and everybody else doesn't matter. Like, these units alone are so irrelevant, I would say, that it's not even worth to talk about other units here. Like, no one's gonna care about you, no one is caring anymore about the GT units or Gohan or Namek Goku. Just, you're running these 4 or nothing. So yeah, let me know what in the comments what you guys think about this top 10, and then see you guys in the next video, probably when Red Broly finally gets his equipment. And yeah, maybe he will change some things, maybe not, we'll see.